You're back here on the Gill Connections Podcast. All right, typically, if you're a repeat listener, I go to this like 2 to 3 minute long intro, but I don't have that much time. And I've got a banger of a guest. We have worked hard to get her on the show. My schedule, it's all been all my fault. Her schedule, we finally met up. You've seen the title of this. Help me welcome the head coach of the UCLA, the wise, the wonderful Miss Joanna Hayes. Joanna, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You know something I learned, and I'm dumb. You're going to laugh at me when I tell you this. I thought, okay, remember, I went to school, high school and college in the state of Alabama. So, right. Okay, got it.
Yeah, yeah, got
I
it.
always thought of this big UCLA USC battle that USC was the big academic school because it was the private school. And I thought UCLA was just the normal, nothing bad, but just, it's a normal state school. And a few years ago, one of my teammates, who was a two-time Division I national champ javelin thrower, like he's a smart guy, he was like, oh, yeah, UCLA is like top five in the world. And I was like, but you mean USC? And he goes, no, UCLA. And so I started looking, I was like, holy crap, UCLA is a academic institution. I had no clue about that.
Yeah. I'm always joking like I'm like UCLA thinks we're Ivy League. We might be at this point, but it is
Wow.
I mean it's high academia. It's great. I mean their classes are great. The education is amazing. You can do anything with this degree, but it's really hard to get in and I tell people it's harder to
Mm,
get in than it is to get out because there's so much help during the process of they
yeah.
really want people to succeed and graduate from here, but getting in it's hard for me to be a coach trying to get people in. I get it.
Yeah, sure.
The standard is extremely high. So yeah, we
I,
are up there for
I would
sure.
have lost that, but I would have said like, oh yeah, as long as you're a qualifier, you're good with UCLA. And it's like, oh no, it's you got to be top academic and athletic. So
Yes.
I just knew when I talked to you because we're gonna find out you went to school there and you coach there. It's like, oh, you're
Yeah.
gonna laugh when I say I thought it was the Midland State School, if you will. And you're like, no, but you
Yeah, no,
wish
no, no.
sometimes, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, no.
All right, Joanna, let's get into, we can't wait to learn your journey. Now, listener, some of you pressed play because you're like, oh man, I can't wait to hear about Joanna's Olympic accolades and all that kind of stuff. And man, she's done it. She's a gold medalist, guys. Come on. But there's a lot out there on that. So we're actually going to focus our normal during high school. And then we're going to like just kind of jump forward to where she says it's time to get back into it and talk about maybe the end of her career when she started transitioning of like, well, what am I going to do now? And hopefully that led to coaching. We know it eventually did. So, no athletics. I do encourage if you want to know more about her athletics, maybe her academics are out there too. I don't know. But if you Google her name, she's one of these coaches, you Google the name, man, there's a lot. Video, Wikipedia. She has her own Wikipedia page. So with knowing that, Miss Joanna, where thinking, I usually say, assuming you were an athlete, but we know this
Right,
part,
right.
knowing you were an athlete, where in the world does track and field start for you?
Track and field started nine. I was
Hmm.
nine when my dad ran when he was in high school. My uncles ran. They were like army brats too, so they ran out over in France and different places with my granddaddy. But yeah, nine. I just went out to some track meets and just did some unattached things. Ran. Really became a jumper.
Hmm.
That's when it all started. And when I was 12, I went to like they don't have Hershey. They still have Hershey Nationals in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, where I'm from. So that was really cool to be able to go back home. And then it was like Jesse Owens games, and I did that. It was actually at UCLA Nationals, and I was both of them were long jump here, and
Oh.
then standing broad jump at Hershey. So yeah, with 9 and 11, 12, and I just kept doing it. So yeah, around that age, and yeah, it's kind of I guess it's been a big part of my life.
So track was a part of the Hayes family. Like so like you knew track growing up.
Yeah, right. I knew like it wasn't like you're gonna run. I didn't really know my dad ran when I was like little, right?
Hmm.
But when it was like, oh, he's like, let's go to a track meet, and I'm like, cool, let's go to a track meet. My mom and dad, we just all of us just I have a bunch of siblings, just went to a track meet, and it kind of just took for me. And then I found out later, oh, your dad ran, you did the triple jump and the 800 and all
Oh.
these things, right? And so my uncle was like, she got it for me. I was like, okay, whatever, carry
That,
away.
that's
Uh,
kind of cool that you didn't know. I mean, it's one thing. It's very sweet to know that you follow in your father's footsteps and all that kind of stuff. But to know that it was more authentic, like, oh no, Joanna liked doing this. By the
yeah,
way, the family loves track and all that kind of stuff. That is cool.
exactly. Yeah, that's how it kind of started.
You were very athletic, obviously. Any other sports like in high school?
So, well, no, well, yes, because I played a little soccer when I was a kid, just one season, played with
Mhm.
boys. It got hit in the stomach with the balls, never played soccer again. That really hurt. It was not that I mean, I hated it.
Done.
But then I did start playing basketball in high school.
Mhm.
So I did that for a few years. So maybe 3 years I did basketball and then basketball and track and then just track my senior year.
Okay.
Cross
And
country, that doesn't really count as not track because my coach, but I was forced. My coach made me do that, and I'm still mad. But it worked out. He made me do cross country for the
I
season.
love it. I love it. A lot of people have that. Oh man, I was there, not willingly, all the way.
Yeah, no, I was definitely
Right.
running under protest.
What? So you mentioned Coach. Tell us about Coach. We almost named this podcast the Gill Shout Out Podcast. Tell us
I
about Coach and what kind of relationship you had with them.
So Coach Leathers was my high school coach, Coach Charles Leathers, and he was amazing. He passed away unfortunately 2018, but
Mm.
he was super influential. Like I was at one high school at Arlington High School, and then my mom actually met him randomly. Well, we were at UCR, University of California, Riverside, and which is not too far. We were training, and my mom was taking me out to do some training, and she met him, and they talked, and she was like, "Oh, I want you to go to North," and did it. And I was like, "Okay, whatever." So I ended up moving and
Oh,
transferring. So we moved all the way to go from one side of town to the other side so I could go to North, JW North. And so that's where Coach Leonard
yeah.
took over and I was a jumper. And
Wait, wait, wait. Oh, okay, that's confused me because I thought I knew a Coach Leathers, but I was like, wait a minute, that's California. You mentioned growing up in Pennsylvania.
so
What?
no, so let me start over. I was
Yeah.
born in Pennsylvania, from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And we moved to California when I was like 4. So
Oh, okay.
I'm a
Okay.
Cali girl, but when I
Got
went
it.
to back there was like my family was there, they come hang out. So I visit there. But yes,
Got it.
I was born
Okay.
in Pennsylvania. Originally, my mom's from there, but no, I'm a Cali girl. So yeah,
Got it.
from
And
Riverside.
and
So yeah, you're good.
Yeah, and JW North. I mean, I didn't know you went to school there, but I know was it Nicole Denby?
Nicole
Yeah,
Denby was after me.
Denby
So
and
Nicole
lots of
Hoxie was
others.
right after me a couple years, and then Denby came after her. So
Yeah.
he really we had a lot going on. And so Coach Leathers was actually from Los Angeles. He coached at Compton Centennial. So the
Okay.
story, well, and we'll tie it together. But Jeanette Bolden, he coached Jeanette Bolden at Compton Centennial. She was the head coach at UCLA who recruited me.
No
That's how I got into UCLA
way.
because I was a jumper and I went to North in January of my junior year.
Mm.
They got new runways for me and all the things. And then we tried hurdles and I became a hurdler like that. And the rest would I just as
Wait,
they
so
say
you
history.
didn't even really start hurdling until junior year of high school?
January, February, my June, probably February, my junior year of high school is the first time I ever even thought about going over a hurdle.
That's got to give a lot of coaches, and we even have, a decent amount of athletes who listen to the podcast, like some hope of like, it's not like you may think you're one thing, and actually you're way better suited over here. That's so interesting. Was there any trip like hurdles are my favorite. I mean, part of my tattoos are hurdles for crying out loud. I love her. My first email address was hurdle love at
Love it.
Hotmail. I love it,
Loved
right?
it.
Was there any trepidation when coach said, "Hey, let's try these hurdle"? I mean, even long jumping, what
Yeah,
any
and
concern?
I feel like it was kind of a combination. In my Tazy, I think he said let's try. I think I said I wanted to try. So it was one of those we really both kind of agreed on doing it.
Cool.
Because I remember just being like, oh, I'm trying. They were like set up on the grass one day, and I just like went over them. I was like, oh, kind of cool, whatever. Because in my first school, I was like, there was a girl that was a hurdler, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I would never do that. Oh my God, that's so crazy, right? And here I am. Oh, I like these. Let's try them. So then by the time I got to state, I was doing hurdles and still triple jump
Mm,
not long anymore. I think I made a triple jump in both hurdles or something, and
right,
then like smashed the 300 the hurdle because the timing didn't work out. So then
right,
after that,
right.
I just became a hurdler my
Yeah.
junior year.
Huh.
But yeah, he was great. I mean, he was hardcore in terms of like we train hard, we work hard, but he would pick us up on the weekends and make us go to Mount Rubidoux, the hill. That was fun,
Yeah.
but not fun. Just remember riding in his truck and he would come in the morning and just be out front and I'm running down at the house to get in the car and go. So, he was great. He was super supportive with really everything that I did or we did.
Mhm,
I remember not going to school or whatever. They said I didn't go to class a lot.
mhm.
And he was like, if you don't go to class, you ain't going to CIF. Like he was kind of like, don't play with me type of deal. Like
Wow.
LA, like hardcore, used to coach boys. Like
Mm,
it's like if you want to do these things, you're gonna have to do them. So again, super supportive,
yeah.
but really drew a hard line and had us really prepared.
Now, spoiler alert, you become a track coach, a really good one, by the way. But as a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, we don't necessarily know. But I always wonder, like, what kind of like coaching tendencies young Joanna has. When you were now, Coach Leathers was a personality. So this will be interesting. I think I know the answer, but this will be interesting. were you the kind of athlete, like, did you, not in a confrontational way, but were you asking, like, hey, so how come we did hurdles on Monday and velocity work on Tuesday, or did you, because I have a lot of grace for 17-year-old kids, were you the run? Okay, I run. I see ball, hit
100%.
ball kind of thing? Is
I never asked questions.
that
I
right?
was, and I never asked in college or pro, like, this is the workout.
Right.
Okay, we might be like, this is stupid. Why are we doing? We would do like 500, some just like this is dumb. But we
Yeah.
all, we did it. But I never questioned
Wow.
his methods. I never questioned the goals.
Huh.
I just was never that person to. I just always felt like if my coach says to do it,
Yeah.
I do it.
Yep.
I don't, I never even thought of like, I wonder why, or I wonder how come this just doesn't make sense
Right.
to me. He said
Yeah.
it, so I did it. Yeah, I'm super coachable athlete,
Yeah.
not gonna ever ask, just gonna do what you say.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, I have a 17-year-old kid. I get it. That makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense. I ended up becoming a coach, and I don't think I was like that. It's like 400s. All right, that sucks. But all right, we're doing
yeah.
400s, I guess, today. What about what kind of athlete were you? And what I mean by that, I care less. Now we know your PRs were good, but I care less about a coach's PRs. Your PRs do not make you a better or not better. There's
Right.
no correlation there. What I'm curious about, we were born in the same year. I'm a little bit older than you, Joanna, but we were born in the same
Yeah,
year.
'cause I'm like the very last of the
Yeah,
year.
yeah, you squeaked in on the 76. I'm with you. But we like to sometimes, guys and gals of our age, we like to shake our fists at these young kids. They don't know who the pros are. They don't know it. When you were 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, did you know who was when? Did you know Gail Devers? Did you like were you that kind of kid, or did you just like, man, I just know who the girl in front of me or who I'm about to put behind me? What about like the world of track and field at that
Yeah.
age?
When I started running, so when I was 12, well, almost 12, 1988 Olympics, I saw FloJo and that just changed everything for me. I was like, oh my gosh, she's the best thing ever. I'm like, oh
That's
my gosh, I'm gonna
dope.
be her when I grow up. So that's when I started paying a little more attention. Um, so everything was really FloJo for me. And then when I was in high school, I started running, still FloJo, right? But then jumping, it was still FloJo.
Yeah, yeah,
Hurtling, I was like, oh, Gill Connections. Wait a minute, what's that? Right. So you start paying attention to other people as you start doing the events.
yeah.
Obviously FloJo was still FloJo, but
Right.
I started learning about more people as I got older in high school, learning about Jackie Joyner Kersey and all those things.
Yeah.
And so for me, it became that, but I was still very in tune and locked into me and what I had to do to win and compete. And
Mhm.
I was a super athlete. I was super engaged and involved. But to your point earlier, coach tendencies, I didn't my coach tendencies didn't come from trying to know why I was doing things in high school, but more so like knowing that I was really good, that like I was gonna win or whatever.
Mhm.
I always would look at other people and be like, oh, I want to like I did one time tell a girl about a trail, like I was like, oh, you should be careful with that because you may fall. Because I
Interesting.
was like, is it I had to ask myself, and I remember it very vividly thinking, she's gonna fall. And I was like, yeah, but why are you worried about it? Whatever, don't talk to her. I'm like, no, because if she falls, I'm gonna feel guilty because I saw
Yeah.
this. So I just said, hey, be careful, like your trail leg is kind of lagging, you gotta pick it up a little bit. She was like, oh, thank you. And that was kind of it. But that was, and I did that a few more times in my career with competitors where that was
Yeah.
probably an idea
Yeah.
but this little girl, I was like, I could not knowingly walk away to run when I knew this girl was absolutely going to fall.
Coaching,
So,
coaching is servitude. And so your
yeah.
servant heart could not, like, I love how you said that. He's like,
Yeah.
I could not, I saw it. I could not
Once I saw it, I
not
couldn't
help.
see it. I gotta help her.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't like it, if it
Wow.
doesn't work, I still did what I thought
Right.
was
Right.
in the moment. Because
That's right.
again, as an athlete, I knew she can't beat me, right? So
Yeah.
there's not going to be any risk of that. But so I
Right.
just did not want to see this little girl fall down.
Yeah. I
So
love that.
so that's where I knew the coaching kind of came in because I was always concerned about other people's like well-being, um,
Hmm.
as opposed to asking any questions. I just, like I
Yeah.
said, do it. You said, okay, coach, and that was it. So yeah.
So senior year, you're doing great. State meets at CIF and all those kind of things. You're highly recruited. You're 17-ish years old. What were you thinking about school in regards to like where did you kind of look and go? Why did you end up picking UCLA? And really answer the question of like where is, if at all, is coaching as a career as 17-year-old Joanna?
Yeah. So through high school, I wanted to go to North Carolina.
Hmm.
The Tar Heels were everything basketball, right?
Mm.
I liked basketball, the baby blue, the color, it was everything about North Carolina. Tar Heels were very popular when I was in school. It was them. It
Yeah.
was like Georgetown Hoyas, right?
Mm.
Georgetown, I wasn't going to Georgetown, but we wore the jacket. So a lot of that was just came from the outfits. It was like there was all those different things,
Yeah.
but I really
Yeah.
liked North Carolina. Like I was like, I'm going to go to North Carolina. Well, they did not recruit me. And so
Mhm.
I was like, okay, whatever. So but it was a late bloomer. So what happened was it was more of the California West Coast schools who knew who I was because in my junior year, when people start to really recruit, they look at the number. Well, my
Mhm.
number was 1383, wind dated 1411, was my open
Is
time, and
that right?
1402, sorry, 1402, and then 4311 was my 300 hurdle. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you did the homework and saw, oh, she didn't hurdle till February, and then my first two races, I fell, cut my knee. I didn't get any real hurling until like, April. So
Mm.
if you'd done the research, you would know, oh, this girl might have an upside
Right.
or call the coach. So that's how I mean, not Coach Leathers, Coach Jeanette Bolden,
Right.
at that time had just become the head coach here at UCLA. Bobby took stepped down and was the volunteer
Right.
coach. Jeanette calls Coach Leathers. Coach Leathers tells her she just got like you. So back then, it's different now. Once a week, a coach could call.
Right.
Jeanette calls every Friday, every week, never missed a week. I knew she was going to call the house phone, of course. And I talked to her and I got this really great relationship with her. There was also like, I was USC, Arizona State, Arizona, were some of the other
Right.
bigger schools, Ohio State, which was the only
Mhm.
real East Coast school that I was talking to
Right.
at that point. So talked to all the coaches, took my trips, but it was Jeanette, Bobby, that combo, and then UCLA being LA and the reputation they had with now we're looking at Jackie
Right.
Jordan Kersey and Gail Devers, Bobby, like all these people. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is the place I need to be.
Right.
Took my trip here, worst trip ever. I hated it. Got stung by a bee. I was like, this place
No,
sucks.
on your trip.
On my trip, I was never been stung by a bee. Got stung by a bee. I'm like, this is really bad. And the other schools, I had fun. I committed to every other school that I went to, I think, when I was there to like the team. But this was like, I knew this was the place for me. It was just a place for me. I thought I went to another school. I went to USC and it was so much fun. My best friend to this day, I met her there she was my host. I'm talking about fun. It was the best trip I had, which at 18, you wouldn't think that I would make the opposite choice of, oh no, this is too fun. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm never gonna get anything done here. I'm
Mm.
not gonna make it out. I loved everything about the air, like the fun that I had
Right.
with her. Obviously, things are different now, and
Yeah.
this was
Yeah.
30 years ago that I went there. Everybody's different. I was obviously on staff at one point, but the
Right.
point is, I was like, it's too fun.
Hmm.
And I was like, this is your fault, Nicole. You should have not made it so fun. So she lost,
Mm.
but USC was my second choice. Again, LA and all the things and
Right.
the good history they had there. But it was just something about that relationship that Jeanette Bolden
Jeanette.
cultivated. And
Yeah.
again, that goes back to Coach Leathers and talking to him. He would have told anyone else the same thing, which I'm sure he did
Right.
on some occasions, but he was going to tell everyone that I just started and that I had the upside and I had the work ethic and that I was going to be great. And then my
Right.
second year I exploded and I'm getting all, oh, what about it? And I'm like, oh, I'm already going to UCLA. Like that's a wrap for me.
Yeah.
And so that's really how it went down. And that's how I picked UCLA to stay here and go to school in LA.
This past February, I had the honor of I'd met her before, but actually getting to sit down and spend some time with her with Dawn Harper Nelson.
Yeah.
Where is there there's overlap, I think,
No.
right? No.
So that Dawn is a few years younger. Well,
She's
quite a few years
after.
younger.
Okay. Okay.
But
All
I
right.
knew Dawn in high school because she's from East St. Louis. She went to
Mm-hmm.
East St. Louis High School,
Right.
and I would go to Missouri a lot to train in the summers, Bobby and Jackie. And so I was like more of a mentor when
Uh,
the
okay.
center, I worked there and did a lot of things. So because by the time because Dawn came to school in like 2002 and I was already graduating when she got here.
Uh,
So I
okay.
was more of a mentor to her when she was in high school. I knew her
Got it.
then.
Okay.
So, but definitely knew her already. Crossover,
Yeah.
we knew each other, but we didn't go to school together.
Got it. Okay. I couldn't remember where that was
Yeah.
and just remembered
Yeah.
another UCLA great. Okay. So
Yeah.
you choose UCLA. What do you go in to major? What are you thinking as 18-year-old Joanna of like, I'm going to become a doctor, a lawyer? What were you
Yeah.
thinking?
Communications, and I was going to be a sports broadcaster.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of how that was going to go. Like when I was younger, I wanted to be a teacher. I was going to be because my mom was a substitute and then she was a teacher. So you
Nice.
couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be a teacher. That was my goal. But then I was like, oh, I think I'm going to do something different. So I wanted to be a sports broadcaster, and I was going to do communications.
Yeah.
Um, but then when I looked at the communications, I'm like, there's a lot of like internships and things you do. They were telling me the summertime. We
Mm.
always went to St. Louis in the summertime. I was like, I had to train. So I ended up majoring in sociology.
Oh, is that right?
To
Okay,
be an
cool.
athlete. That's what I decided. I was going to be an
Yeah,
athlete.
exactly.
The
Okay.
major was great. No, it's good.
So, like I said, Joanna, there is a lot of ink and video on your amazing athletic career. I don't want people to think like I am diminishing what you've done. You have,
Sure.
I'm so blessed through my coaching career and 20 years here at Gill to call a lot of Olympians friends, and I still, even as many, John Godina, another UCLA
Yeah,
guy,
of
called
course.
me yesterday. I'm so blessed, but I still have to remember you being an Olympian is a fraternity, a sorority of nobody. No one's an Olympian. I happen to live in a world where
Yeah, yeah.
what you have done is amazing. And then, so just going to the Olympics, boom, you are Mount Rushmore. You won a gold medal. It's unbelievable. I normally don't do any kind of research, but I did want to kind of do a little bit of research on your athleticism. You actually kind of went in and became like more of a 400 hurdler to start, and then kind of went down to this is what Wikipedia told me, and then kind of went down to the short hurdles, and that's where you ended up winning the gold medal. So I just, and I didn't know that you really were a jumper to start out with, and then went to the hurdle. So bravo. Love all that. I want to kind of go start, and you tell me where you pick us up where as you start to, and I don't know how you guys, I say you guys meaning I was never athletic enough to have to worry about this. How do you guys start thinking about, well, it's time to wind down? Whether I don't know if you guys like put like the next Olympics, that'll be it, or okay, one more year. I don't know how you do it, but as you start, you're a smart person. Somewhere it had to start like, okay, this is not in perpetuity here. How did that process come about, and what were you thinking of? Well, okay, after my personal athleticism, I'm gonna go become that sports broadcaster I always talked about. Where do you start thinking about your post athletic career?
Yeah, I was getting a lot of injuries just throughout
Mm-hmm.
college and as a pro, just lots of injuries. Excuse me. So after the Olympics,
Bless you.
the next year, thank you, Achilles thing, then 2006, 7, I just kept getting hurt. Um, I'm like, okay, I'm back. 2008, I was back. It was going great. Got hurt my
Mm.
knee. Right at the first round of the trials, I crossed the line. I felt this pop in my knee. I'm like, oh crap, what is that? But there was, for whatever reason, in 2008, they had 4 rounds. So I had to go through the second round, and I was okay because I don't know what it was, adrenaline or whatever. I was okay. I
Hmm.
woke up that next morning, and I was like, oh, I'm shot. It's a wrap. So got it taped up, just did what I had to do because I had 2 more rounds to go. Got through the semifinal, hurt like heck, but made the final. And then
Wow.
once I got to the final, it was more of like just run and just whatever happens, happens. Adrenaline, I had whatever,
Hmm.
medicine, and the problem was I was so unfocused on anything. I was so tunnel visioned into like not dying because my knee and just run as fast as you can and just see what you can do because it hurts like heck. I didn't pay attention that there was like this 3.8 wind behind us. And I was just running way too fast. I hit hurdle, I was
Mm.
out. Then I didn't, I just hit hurdle 4, then I hit, and I just kind of walked over. I was like, this is terrible. So at that point,
Mm.
I was like, well, that was my contract year was going to be up.
Mm.
I knew I had the option year, but I knew they weren't going to take it. I didn't make the team. So I just kept running through that year, finishing out, just doing what I can. I was running. I remember at one point, it was in London, my knee just completely locked up. I was on crutches. And Bobby was like, Bobby fixed it. Bobby, that's a whole nother topic, but he fixed my knee. He's a crazy person. And it hurt. Dawn Harper was there. It was the pain that he put me through was to fix it. But
Uh,
anyway, not to fix it, just so I can bend it.
right.
Um, he was like, "You're crazy if you run another race." Da, da, da. I was like, "Well, I'm going to Monaco in a couple of days." So, and I went to Monaco and ran. I ran my season best there. It was
Oh,
just
jeez.
insane because it was like I was like, "This is it for me." I know I'm not gonna have a contract, so unless I do something insane, so I'm like, I got to get as much money as I can. So then
Right.
during that time, I knew I was done because I was like, I can't. This is whatever's happening. It was too much pain. I knew what it was. I tore my patella tendon. It was bad. It was worse than I thought. Later, had surgery in later that year, and then I was just done. I started coaching at Harvard Westlake High School, so I was a high school coach for a while just because I needed a job.
Okay, yeah, okay, maybe you answered this question right there. As you're going through, and the injuries are the number one
Yeah,
limiting factor of an athlete. It's not age, it's not races, it's not coaching. It is, can you stay injury free? You will have a longer career right there alone.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
you're going through that, and I know there has to be some. I mean, you've depended on your body for all these years, and now your air quotes body is letting you down.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, knee, I need you.
Mhm.
As you start going through that, and I love hearing that process of like, hey, okay, this is probably last year. Well, so I need to make as much money as I can.
Mhm.
You start thinking about what it meant to be Joanna Hayes, not the athlete after the next year. Like, did you think about coaching, or did that just kind of fall like I needed something to do, like you said?
I was like, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
I need a job. And it came up actually, I believe Johnny Gray, because Johnny Gray was there at the time as well. So
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Gray was like, hey, they're hiring at Harvard Westlake, come with us. And that was like star-studded because Johnny was there, then I was there, then Quincy Watts was there, Felix Sanchez. So it became like, wait,
Right.
what's happening, right? Went there, Felix ended up leaving, but it was just like, I need a job. And so I
Mm-hmm.
did reach out and well, they talked, we had a conversation and obviously got hired. So I was there, but then I was coaching high school there. Then in around 2012, I started 11 to 12. I started coaching the cross country middle school as well.
Oh,
And
wow.
I remember like getting back moving. I was running with the kids, and I was like, getting back in shape, just kind of running. And I remember Allison was like, "You should come back." And I was like, "You're crazy." And she kept saying, "You should come back and train with us. Come back, come back." She was driving me crazy. So finally, I was like, "Okay, I think I'm gonna do it." So I came back. I did come back later in 2011 that year and just ran 2012, and it was good to get it done without having it end the way it ended. Although I got hurt again, hamstring. I was able to finish. I didn't make the final. It was raining. We warmed up. We got delayed, and after that, I was like, I can't come back out. So I, did my little farewell, but it was fine. It was good to get one more year, and and by then I had a daughter, so I had a baby. I had Zoe, so I
Yeah,
was
that's right.
solely breastfeeding, no bottle. So I would take her to practice, run some reps, nurse her, put her
Mm,
back in the stroller. My brother would come help me. Kenny Ferguson, Allison's then
yeah.
boyfriend but husband,
Mm-hmm.
now would help me, and teammates would help, and it was Sean Crawford. Like it was an amazing environment for me to have a child in because they were also supportive, and it
Right.
was really good just to be able to like I can actually, if I really want to do this, I can come back. I didn't have a sponsor though, and I was still working. So I could have come back and competed. I ran like 1270, it like bounced like it was coming. And then, but it just wasn't enough time
Mm-hmm.
for me to be able to train because I didn't have the contract. So had I had a contract, I think that after having my daughter coming back, I could have actually been back on a team.
Right.
It's good to know that. And I
Yeah.
think it was good for Allison because that also Allison would refer back to that. She remembered that time when we were training and she watched me be pregnant, have a baby, take time off, come back, train with her and come back. And so part of that was helped her when she knew when she was having a baby that she
Oh,
could,
right.
do it. So it was just a really good environment to have just in that one year. But yeah, I was done. And so from there I just kept coaching because that's what
Yeah.
I was doing. But I will say I did do some sports broadcasting during the time that I was coaching high school.
Right.
So I did Pac-12 network. I did
Nice.
I called Pac-12 twice, I think. At
Hmm.
that point, Arizona was at USC doing it. So there was
Nice.
I did spend some time being a broadcaster.
Yeah.
And then once I was gonna have another baby, I was like, I'm gonna have to get a real job because this is fun, but I gotta figure,
Right.
stipends. So then I came to UCLA, and then I became a real coach after that.
What this I'm kind of just curious. I don't know. I'm just curious. Do you and I know, genetics and the body, your body is different from, you're not representative of every woman,
Yeah,
but I am, I'm married to a woman who's had two of our children. So, pregnancy, oh my God, that's the
yeah.
only way I could describe it. Do you like, I'm amazed when I hear of like an example of yours where you're running at a high level, you get pregnant, have a baby, and you still run 1270, dude. Come on. Do you think, from your experience, does having a child like somehow like fortify, strengthen a woman's body? Or I don't know really. Do you know where I'm going? I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it does. Obviously scientifically there's all the different reasons, there's these hormones, and every woman is different.
Right.
You get the hormone levels, HCG in your system, so it does help you because your body's
Ah,
preparing, you're nurturing, you're growing a person inside you, right? So you have to have these extra hormones in your body to take
yeah.
care of two people at once and keep you both healthy and alive.
Right,
And
right,
so
right.
you do have all that strength. And I thought there this is really bad, but there's stories of years ago, and you may or may not have ever heard it, but there was Eastern Bloc people where they would get pregnant and then abort the babies because they were trying
No,
to
I've
get
not heard that.
that's a
That's
and I learned that a while ago.
terribly
It's
crazy.
terrible,
Yeah.
right? But that shows kind of like you get the,
Hmm.
but they were trying to do so. That's a
Right,
horrible thing
right,
to
right,
do,
right, right.
right? So,
Yeah.
but that was just where I learned, like, oh, people, first of all, ew, but second of
Yeah,
all,
right.
like, why would you do, that's
Right,
nothing to
right,
do,
right.
like on purpose. Like, this is a plan, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So that
yeah.
you get those, and I think it's somewhere you read in,
Interesting.
how long that was going on. But
Yeah.
so it does prove like there are
Okay.
you get those things. So yeah,
Yeah.
you can come back strong, and it's a choice. And then some people though genetically may gain more weight than they thought they would,
Right,
and
right, right.
they can't lose it because genetically their body is not able,
Right,
or
right.
get sick, or whatever happens.
Yeah.
That, but there is scientific.
Yeah, that's what I wondered. I
They
figured you
say
might
you
know
do
because
become stronger.
I've seen some women.
Yeah,
It's just like, man, you had a
which is
child and you're back at it. God bless
which
you.
is why it's so crazy, right? That people don't want to like support you because you're gonna probably come back even better.
Right.
Let's keep
Yeah,
you, so and now I think that's all been changed, which is great
that's
that
a good
people
point.
support women having babies and understand that
Yeah,
as athletes we can have babies and come back.
yeah,
And I think a lot of women put off having babies, or did not keep babies, not as a plan, but because they're like, oh no, I
right.
need to run and I need to be
Yeah,
good at this. And they didn't think they could still be good at it,
yeah,
having a baby or a contract or whatever the deal is. So I think that it's still, and I came back I didn't train while I was pregnant with the intent of coming back,
right.
which I think makes it better. And I've been like, oh, I'm
Mm,
coming back, trained during pregnancy. For me, it was just, I was like randomly like, oh, I'm training. And then came back about a year
right.
after Zoe was born, 10 months or so. So I do believe too, if I had had a plan to
Mm,
come back, I would have done the training while pregnant, because
yeah.
as a pregnant woman, you can still train. You can do you shouldn't. So it's funny because I was like, I'm going to start doing CrossFit. And then I found out that I was pregnant, and they're like, well, you can't start doing CrossFit when you're pregnant because you're not used to it.
Mm,
Had you been doing CrossFit before you were pregnant, then your body can maintain that level of
mm,
training.
right.
So if you're already running before you're pregnant, you can continue running
You,
at that level.
you wouldn't have gone over hurdles.
Well, I will say that what I would say that no, there have been women who train pregnant. I think there's several, but you go over hurdles to a certain point. You
Yeah,
stop
yeah,
at
yeah, yeah,
some
yeah, yeah,
point.
yeah.
Like you're not going
Okay,
to be
okay.
8 months pregnant. There was a hurdle I was going to go over one day, and they were all like at practice, "No, you better not. We're gonna don't do it." I was joking around, but you
There's
can
a
probably
risk and
hurdle still.
reward here.
Yeah, I would think 5, 6 months down, depending on how big your stomach is,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the main issue would be, are you able to hurdle
yeah.
effectively with your
Right,
stomach?
right.
Then would you fall
Yeah,
and
yeah,
land
yeah.
on the stomach, your stomach?
Right,
So I
right.
think there is a cautionary point there, but I do think
Yeah,
women trained for hurdles
that's
while pregnant
amazing.
and then just stop when they had to.
I know we're better today in 26, but we certainly are not good when it comes to women athletes, women coaches as well during pregnancy and supporting them after either. I think about what was our gal, the 800-meter runner, Montoya,
Alicia Montano.
who,
Hmm.
did a lot of like I'm
Yes,
going to show you
yes, we
like
love
this.
that.
I'm not an alien just because I'm pregnant now. I can still do things. So I
Love that.
I love
Oh
that
man, love that.
exposure and kind of,
Yeah.
for us dumb guys be like, oh, okay, they're not
Yeah, it's not
tainted.
like, oh, you need to lay down, put your feet up. Don't do, be careful. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of men thought that was helpful.
And at the same time, as soon as you have the baby, now get back to work.
Okay, you're done now. Go on, let's go.
Yeah,
Baby's
it's
out, right?
over.
No
It's
baby? We're
over.
good? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're coaching in Harvard Westlake with like this all-star class cast. I love that. You know that I need to be doing something full time. I gotta have a job now. And your first job is at UCLA. Is that what you said?
Yes. So I
How
left
did
Harvard Westlake and came to UCLA as an assistant coach.
so now are you? Would you? Because I was going to ask this during Harvard Westlake, another great school by the way. Amazing
Yeah.
athletes come out of there. Uh, so somewhere around that time, and as you're transitioning to UCLA, would you now at that point, would you have said, I am Coach Hayes? Like, okay, we get into our identity, and you were hurdler Olympian Joanna Hayes. Are you now Coach Hayes? Like, okay, this is the path forward that I'm going to.
Yes.
Mm,
It was one of those like, okay, yes, I'm Coach Hayes. I kind of touch on it when I talk to people sometimes. Like, I don't have a first name anymore. So my first name is Coach, and that's how
yeah.
you will address me, right? Because that
Yeah.
was like the new identity, my
Yep.
new person. So and even when I came to college, it was like college coaching, like because the kids in high school call me Coach Hayes, very simple. But it was like, do you want to be called Coach Joe, Coach Hayes, Coach Joanna? Like you make that decision earlier on. Bobby
Mhm.
and Jeanette were just Bobby and Jeanette. They never had us call them
Hmm.
Coach. but Coach Leathers, I only called him Coach Leathers, would never call him
Hmm.
Charles. Like that's
Hmm.
crazy, right? But I went off of what they wanted to be called.
Right.
So for me, I was like, what level, where do I want this line to be drawn?
Mm.
And I was like, I wanted to be Coach Hayes because for me, that was just what I felt I needed. And especially as a woman, I needed them to call me Coach
Hmm.
Hayes. And that was just
Hmm.
what I decided. Everybody has their own
Right.
choices and how they want to be addressed. But I thought
Right.
Coach Hayes was fitting for me, and so that's just that. Yeah, I just became Coach Hayes, and that was like it. It was a new identity.
So how did you navigate this transition? So what we have learned from different athletes of different levels here on the podcast is that the way we've kind of put it is when you're an athlete, that is a very selfish pursuit. Now, it's not a negative because I said self.
Yeah,
I know
sure.
times we tend to think selfish is bad, but when you're trying to hurdle at the best, win gold medals, set records, you can't go out with your friends sometimes. When coach tells something to you, you are trying to figure out how does that help me become better.
Yep.
Coaching is more on the other spectrum of selflessness. When you learn something, when someone teaches you something as a coach, you're now thinking, okay, so how do I digest that so that it comes out of me to my athletes to help them? That's a transition for someone who had such a high caliber athleticism career that you did. How did you handle that transition of like, okay, this isn't about me and my times, my everything that I've learned from Bobby and Leathers and everybody else. I now have to figure out how to communicate to these young people to help them with their goals. How did you handle that transition?
I made a lot of mistakes
Hmm.
right early on because it is a you. I feel like coaching is on the job. You're learning on the job, right?
Mm,
You can have knowledge, you can know this. I know what works for me, but
right.
now is that necessarily going to work for someone else?
Right.
Do I try? How do I make the adjustment? The kids are different. Everyone, I can say these things or I can't say these things. So now you're learning this new set of rules. High school was different than college. Kids were different. Responsibilities were different. There was more to it. I used to show up at Harvard Westlake 2 hours, go home, go to a track meet on the weekend, go home because I didn't work for the school per se. I would work there, but I would get a stipend,
Right.
right? I'm not on staff. So here at UCLA, I was on staff. I had to learn all these things, right? So and it wasn't the best environment for learning at that point. I would say, like, so when I was in school, we have our portal, it's called My UCLA. So you log in, get your information, My UCLA. To this day, if I put it in, I'm going to see all my grades, my transcripts.
Hmm.
Um, Now I was like, this is not my UCLA anymore. I didn't feel that connection. So
Oh,
what happened was,
interesting.
as my first 3 years as a college coach, the learning was limited. And some of it, there was some things that had happened that rushed me into having my own group when I wasn't ready.
Mm,
And so, yes, I made a lot of mistakes. Did some good, some were bad.
mhm.
Athletes I have these great relationships with to today, right? Which is good. But I learned a lot on my own as well. I had to lean on Bobby a lot. But Bobby would not make it in the NCAA, right? Because Bobby's completely crazy. And it worked for me. It didn't work for these kids because there's all these rules.
Right.
You can't say this or that. No,
Right.
Bobby's
Right.
like, hey, get it done. I don't care,
Mhm.
which was great for me. So again, I'm like, okay, I can't do what Bobby did because that doesn't work for these kids, right?
Right.
So, but it was like, okay, now workouts, and I put them together. Do I just do workouts that I did, Bobby? So
Right.
I'm learning how to put a program together. I had a lot of help. Like Darrell Smith was great. He's actually a college
I
opponent
know
now, but
Joe well.
good, yeah, yeah, good friend of mine. And
Hmm.
he helped a lot. He was a volunteer, then on staff, and we went back and forth with stuff. But
Hmm.
anyway, when the opportunity came for me to go to USC, under Coach Caryl, who was also a Bruin, um,
That's
it was
right.
it was yeah, so
That's
we
right.
do. It was the right time, and I was able to still be coach because she asked, "What do you want to call you, Coach Hayes?" Right? We were good on it. She asked me that. How do you want this to go?
Hmm.
But I was able to take a step back from being in charge of a group to
Hmm.
learning from her how to do the things.
Right.
And that's where it really all started to come together because it wasn't forced for me to have to do it now. I could still take Bobby's philosophies and keep them there. I had them, but
Hmm.
then I had to learn hers. And from hers and his, when it was time for me to do my own thing, I could blend it to what I thought I needed. Right. So all the great things from each one, I could blend into me. The ones that I didn't like, I threw out, and then the rest I figured out on my own. Right. So then I was learning how to put together a program and coach. But because I had her on top over me, I was able to see things and learn things. I wasn't forced into saying things or learning on my own.
Right.
And that's when I really started to understand. It was hard, and she knows it. We talk about it, it was hard. She was had to be doing a lot of work, but
Yeah.
all that work that I did is literally today paying off.
So you mentioned one of my favorite human beings in the whole world, Caryl Smith Gilbert. Um, who's also been on the podcast. If you guys love Joanna and you love this whole UCLA thing, yeah, we've had a few on the
Yeah, yeah.
podcast. John's been on the pod. We actually, I guess I got to go back. How many UCLA Bruins do we have? We have a lot.
John probably, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you produce a lot of champions, I guess you produce a lot of
Champions,
coaches with
champions
that
made here.
as well. That's right. That's right. Caryl also went to UCLA. She was going to go into film. That's what she went to UCLA for. She was going to do
Yeah.
like editing and things like that. That was her bend when she
Yeah.
went to UCLA out of Colorado. Um, so I love Caryl and I for many reasons. I mean, just honestly, if I had to like sum it up, her leadership, and that's what you were describing there. I remember walking with her and Q around the track at USC, and I mean, she thinks differently, and I mean that in all the positive ways. And
Yeah, yeah,
nothing gets
yeah,
by
for
her.
sure. Yeah,
How
no.
how how you described it a little bit. What she can be intimidating as well, right? For many different
Absolutely.
reasons. Very successful athlete, very successful coach. Did it at UCLA. Well, go listen to the podcast if you don't know how well she did. She's awesome. How was that? You go there, you've got your own accolades now. You got a gold medal around your neck. How was that? You describe kind of taking a step back from running a group for different reasons to now like, oh, okay, I almost get like some more mentorship vibes now. Like this is how you actually learned how to become a coach.
Yeah, that was, I mean, high school coaching and then UCLA coaching. Again, I believe you become a better coach and you learn how to coach from experience. So
Mm,
all those experiences helped, right? So then what the thing that was missing was the day-to-day mentorship. Obviously, I had Bobby, I had Jeanette, I had people that would help me, but in this
hmm
situation, it was an everyday thing with her.
right.
And so some of it came from just me seeing her do things, right
Mm,
and wrong. I'm like, oh, I would
right.
never do that. This lady's
Right.
crazy, right?
Right.
So it was like, and she'll say, I shouldn't have done that, right? One thing about her, she will tell you when she made a mistake.
Yep.
There were a few conversations because I would so back to my accolades and to my knowledge. She was the program. She was in charge. I did what she said. I set up the hurdles. I set up the cones for the sprints, the blocks. I did all that assistant coach stuff,
hmm
and then I was able to give them advice and talk to the girls about different things.
hmm
But it was times where I wanted to like implement some stuff. And I remember one time I told her a couple things that I wanted to do, and she kind of just moved on. And then one day she was talking, she's like, oh yeah, such and such said this and this. And I'm just looking at her and she's like, oh, well, you told me that too. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You told me first and I didn't listen. So I respected that she was like, oh, I should have listened to you because you
Right.
knew this, but she wasn't ready at that point, I guess, to listen to me because
Mm,
it wasn't proven. She was still teaching me, right?
yeah.
So in that moment, I think she realized, okay, you do know. So, things worked out. And
Yeah.
then ended up, I was coaching there, then I was a volunteer. Then she left to Georgia. I came back, and I
Right.
was on staff, then back to UCLA. So all the things happened. But
Yeah.
during my time with her, it was like I was just doing housing, I was doing financial aid, I was doing all the things, and then the things that other coaches may not have been doing, I ended up just doing.
Yeah.
And we talked about that, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're doing everything, right?" So part of it, she adjusted, so I didn't have to do everything. But she said, we're women, and when we see something's not happening, we do it without a complaint. We just pick it up and do it. What happens is if you're doing it all and other people aren't, you're not doing yourself or them a service because now they're not learning and you're burning out, right? And so that's what I've learned as well. I'm gonna do it all, and I'm like, I gotta let my coaches do this. I gotta let my coaches go. Oh, I gotta sit. Oh, I want to do it so bad. I gotta let her Mecca because I have an athlete. One of my coaches I used to coach, Mecca, Coach Mecca. I'm like, I just gotta let her do it. I want to do it, but I gotta tell her how and let her and walk away from it, right? Because if I don't have her do it, when does she learn it? When does she become a better coach,
Yep.
right? So I've learned a lot of things. Some of the things I learned with Coach Caryl were circumstantial, and some were she specifically said, "Sit here so I can tell you this." Right?
I,
I'm going to show you this.
I'm
So
around a lot of high achieving, high profile people in the coaching ranks. And also, I think about it literally a conversation I just had with one of my teammates that I mentor here. That is probably the number one thing I think high achieving people and high caring people, by the way, have to learn is, that we always use the D word delegating, but it's a control thing. And
yeah,
and I also wonder that if some of these high achieving people like you and Caryl, that because of that, because of that control, the high control profile that you have, is that's how you became successful as well. Like if you
Sure.
didn't
Yeah.
lean into that at a certain age and stage, you wouldn't have gotten to the mountaintops that you've gotten to. But then it does change, especially when you become a head coach, because now you're
Yeah.
responsible for a staff as well. You made a great example there with one of your current assistant coaches of like, oh, it's not about me. And by the way, I could still do it all and control it all,
Yeah.
but that's going to put a cap on where we can do as a program,
Correct.
you
Correct.
know? So I think that that is what I've seen from, like, I mean, high achieving people. That's the number one thing is how do I control? How do I trust other people? And by the way, that's step one. Step two might be as important, if not more important. Allow myself to know that they are going to make mistakes, and that's
Correct.
okay.
Yep.
We'll fix it. I will support you and we'll move on. But I got to be okay that
Yes.
they're going to bring something to me. It's like, well, why in the world did you do that? I wouldn't have done it that way.
Yeah.
We have to go with them. So I appreciate that you're learning this at that stage of the career. Now,
Yeah.
you grew up in California. I grew up in Alabama. So in athletics, there's always rivalries. Every time I tell people I'm from Alabama, they always say, "Oh, did you grow up Alabama or Auburn?" All this kind of stuff,
Right.
right?
Right.
You grew up one of the way UCLA or USC maybe or something like that. You grew up UNC. That's where you grew up. But I
Yeah.
do know, and I still, one of my bucket lists is to go to the USC UCLA dual meets. By the way,
Yeah.
Willie Banks, I had on the podcast. Another, I
Okay.
just
Yeah.
thought
Really?
about that because he gave a
Yeah.
great story. He was on the podcast. He gave a great story that included OJ Simpson at the
Mhm.
USC UCLA duel.
Yeah.
So
Very
a very
proud of that.
big memory. How was it? You're a Bruin. I know I asked Caryl the same question. I guarantee I did. How
Mhm.
do you work for USC? How do you work against your alma mater? You not only have to, your same conference, you actually have a dual meet that means something. Like you, that's a big
Yeah.
deal. How do you handle being on the Trojan side?
Yeah. When I first took the job, I got my alumni were killing me. I'm like, okay, well, look, I gotta learn. I gotta get a job. I gotta eat. My kids gotta eat. I got
Yeah,
children at
right.
this
That only
point.
goes so far.
I put that shirt on. I was like, here we go. I'm here. And I remember the first
Yeah.
day. I remember the exact shirt I was wearing. I remember that I was walking around. I was seeing the things, and I was like, okay, this is where I'm at. But I had to tell myself that life is bigger than rivalries, that my children's needs come before a rivalry, that my coaching needs come before a rivalry. So it helped that she was a Bruin, right? That I could say, well, at least she's a
Yeah,
Bruin.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
At least she's a
Strength in
Bruin. At
numbers.
least she got a little something here, a little wear a blue shirt under my jersey. But it was more of like, this is, and I prayed on it a lot when the job opportunity came. And I'm a very, very loyal person, loyal to a fault. And I had to pray because I was like, taking that job meant being disloyal to UCLA. But as I thought about it and prayed about it, and at the end of the day, no one's like, we can give you more money to stay. I was like, this point.
Hmm.
But it was more of like, okay, God, like, what do you think? And I think what happened was, had they offered me more money or even something different, like you can increase, if they would have even had a conversation about maybe, do you want to stay? No one's had the conversation with me. I think that was God saying, because if they would have, I probably would have stayed. So I think God was like, if I let them you're not staying there because you're not supposed to be there.
Right.
So I didn't have really the option. I was like, either I stay or I go. That's kind of how it was sent to me. Do what you want.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm going. And that was for me that I knew in the moment that I was where I was supposed to be.
Hmm.
So that's how I was able to do it because I felt this is where
Yeah.
I need to be right now. And I still have my friends. They were giving me a hard time for, trust me, forever.
Yeah, of
But I
course.
knew they all understood under the surface of the rivalry. They knew I had to do what was best for me and my family.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. But that's how I did it because I knew I was supposed to be there. I
Yeah.
knew what could come from it. And again, at some point, you got to be an adult. Uh,
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's right. You
if
got to
I
get out
tell
of
someone
college.
I was
Right?
offered this much to go here and this, and then they would say, are you stupid?
What's wrong with
Are
you?
you stupid? Right now, I'm
I,
like, you're an idiot. Why are
I
you
thought UCLA was smart people.
right? We're gonna fire you because how are you gonna lead people? You make dumb decisions.
I love that your friends gave you some crap about it
They
because
did.
that's how you know they're friends. Because someone out there, we don't all 100% have friends, have 100% of friends. Someone out there was like, well, yeah, of course she did. But didn't say it to you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
your friends are the ones who are
right.
going to call you up and be like, are you kidding me? You're going to go put maroon on.
For real. How you gonna do that's
Really?
yeah, oh, they gave me, yeah,
Exactly.
all the time. But so and then I had to block out. I didn't want UCLA to do bad, but obviously I wanted us to do better.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Okay. Uh, from USC to UCLA head coach, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you know every new head coach here, let's go back old school. I ask this of every head coach the first time they become a head coach. You become a head coach. That's different from being an assistant coach. I mean,
Yeah.
even the most prepared, and I don't think as head coaches overall, we're doing a very good job of training our assistant coaches to one day become head coaches. Uh, but even the most prepared assistant coach that I've seen and talked to and know is not prepared for the head coaching job. You get the head coaching job, not only of UCLA, that's your again, there's some emotion, there's some, you bled on that track lane too, right there during
For
practice,
real.
those kind
Yeah.
of things. What did you think? So I love it's going to be this kind of the same question inverse. The first part is, what did you think was going to be hard? Like, okay, you're a smart person, so you knew like, okay, there's going to be some things I don't know. This part I might be challenged with, but actually ended up being pretty easy because, and I'm going to talk so you can think that question through. Because when you become a head coach, you have 1,000 hats: scheduling, budgeting, alumni. You might be on committees to hire the basketball coach. You have so many more athletic department responsibilities as well as the responsibilities of the program itself. What did you think going in? Like, oh, this might be a little challenging for me. And after sitting in the desk for a month, 6 weeks, whatever, you're like, what was I worried about? This is actually kind of easy. I'm a natural at this.
Yeah. Um, Look, you go anything you do new, you're not ready for. No one's ready to do something they've never done before. That's just basic facts. If you say it, you're fooling yourself, right?
You don't know.
I
Yeah.
was ready for a lot of things though of it because of all the work I had done before. I knew how financial aid works. I know how, housing works. I know how this, I know that I've dealt with all kind of kids on all kind of levels, top to bottom, talent, all that, right? So all that for me never was really concerned about. But knowing going into this, I knew that there was a couple things that I wasn't versed on, which was budgets, right? Because I wasn't in the budget meetings. I didn't
Right.
know how this, who, what, when, where. That's the one thing I really never
Right.
sat in on and learned. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
and I even said that that's going to be one thing that's going to be the most challenging for me to learn and understand. But what I found out now is just a bunch of money that you're going to overspend it anyway, and you just got to figure out which right. So
Somebody's yelling right now. Oh, you don't get to wait. You get to overspend. I don't get to
yeah, no, yeah,
overspend.
don't overspend. No, it's not good. I trust me. I'm sure I got some meetings
You still
coming
got
up.
to
But
answer for it, right?
right, because what happens is when you overspend, you have to go into your own budget, your foundation budget. So guess what?
Right.
The other thing I was gonna challenge with is fundraising, right? So those
Yeah.
are the two main things. Money, because I've never been somebody that's good at asking for money. Like
Right.
I'm not like, hey Mike, can I need some money? I've never been
Mm-hmm.
good at that. Like it's never
Mm-hmm.
been a skill of mine. It's never
Right.
been something that
Mm-hmm.
I ever wanted to do. It's
Mm-hmm.
always been actually difficult for me to ask for
Mm-hmm.
money, for to ask for even for help, right? So
Mm-hmm.
knowing that, like, oh my gosh, that's for money. So
Right.
those are the two things that were going to be the most challenging. And I would say those are the two things that still are the most challenging. There's everything else to me is not terrible.
Yeah, I love that that was a challenge for you because I we almost called another name we almost came up with the podcast was Mythbusters. And I'm a small school kid, meaning I went to school at Troy University, coached at Ball State, JUCO, etc. Also coached at Mississippi State. I was in the SEC, so I've seen all avenues, and I get to talk everybody from UCLA, Joanna Hayes to Division III Illinois Wesleyan. I've seen all gamuts of it. And a lot of there's a prevailing number of coaches who think a all power four never has any problem at all. Exactly. Yep. I remember there's two stories. I remember being at Oregon at practice, and Robert Johnson is turning the pits, for practice, and I was like, Robert, no one in this country believes that the head coach of Oregon is turning his own pits. They would all think that you have 100 helpers and
Yeah,
that would do it. And he's like, man, I do my own. I was like, exactly. And
yeah,
Caryl Smith, I remember walking on that track and she's telling me these problems that you have at USC. Like she goes, I don't own my track.
yeah.
You've been there, so you know it. She gave me this story, and I thought we were in the office, the old offices now, and she goes, Mike, she goes, the lane gates that cover lanes 1 through 3. I go, yeah, absolutely. And she goes, you know how you can lock them, I was like, yeah, absolutely. She goes, somebody came the other day and broke the deadbolt, and I was
That's
like,
a lot.
and I
Yeah.
was like, she's got to be exaggerating. Like, we walk out and there's the lock is still there. She picks it up and it is deadbolt cutter. And I'm like, this is USC. If
Hey,
I asked 100 coaches, what problems does USC have? None of them would say, "Oh, they own their track. They get to take anybody, push them." I was like, "Man, they don't even have sometimes rights over their band at USC for
Yeah.
the track." I mean, it was amazing. So I love
Yeah.
that UCLA because I bet you again, if I asked 100 coaches and said, "Hey, do you think UCLA has to fundraise for money?" They're like, "No, they have all the
We got all the
money, the
money,
money."
right?
So I love that that was
I don't own the track
good
either.
money.
That's another challenge. I don't own the track, just like she didn't own the track.
Is that
You have to
right?
deal with rec and all the different conversations. So people are like, "Oh, can
Is
I come
that
practice your track?" And I'm like,
right?
"I can't tell you yes or no. I'm already in trouble for that right now." So it's like everybody just
Oh,
people are like, "Oh, I'm just going to come use the track." I'm like, "Well,
that's
I can't give you
amazing.
permission to just use the track when you want because
Right.
there's probably something going on with rec or something going on here." It's not that, and a lot of universities will be the same. State schools, different schools.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, why can't I just come out? I'm like, it's just not that simple
Yeah.
to just say you can use the track whenever you want to,
Yeah.
right? So, and I
That's
think there's a lot of
amazing.
misconception because some schools in the country are completely private. Their track you can't get
Right.
on no matter
Right.
what.
They own the 24 hours a
Right.
day. Right.
Some schools use the track coach shares with soccer, which I do as well. We share
Hmm.
that. We figure
That's
some
right.
things out. So it is a scheduling thing. And I think, yes,
Yeah.
Mythbusters is great because so many schools and so many coaches will tell you, oh, that sounds good. I wish
Yeah.
that was at my
Yeah.
school.
Wish.
And so
Yeah.
whether you have something really great, you have something not as great. And that's every school though. And that's why even with recruiting, like you're gonna write your pros and cons. Some you're gonna get what are you willing
Right.
to
Yeah.
say, okay, I'm okay with bending for that? Because not any school in this country has exactly everything they want and whatever everyone else thinks they have, they're still gonna have some
Every
bumps for
body
the
has hurdles to get over, with pun intended,
absolutely.
whether it's admissions, like, yeah, I wish I could get a 2.5 in here. That ain't working here.
Yeah,
I wish I could get that kid at full ride. I only have 35 Scott, whatever.
yeah,
No one is there is a zero programs that have zero problems,
yeah.
concerns, etc. So I asked you, what did you think you were going to struggle with, and what's the reverse? What's something you thought like, oh man, this is going to be easy as the head coach, and then it's like, oh, there's a little bit more to this than I thought.
What I think was and the funny thing is, I guess I didn't think anything would be easy
Yeah. Okay.
because it's I'm in charge of an entire group of not just kids but coaches and technically I have six sports, right? Cross
Yep.
men and women cross country,
Right.
indoor track and field, outdoor track and field. So I
Mhm.
have a really big responsibility. So every year, and there's part of that, like I guess maybe more is more to that, the playing times and like you have to do these calendars and I got a compliance. So all those things are a little bit more in depth than I was like used to always doing. I understood them because I've done it before in general, but yeah, there's I guess it's a lot of just things and I really didn't and I knew there'd be head coaches meetings, but I had to go to these meetings. Sorry guys, I gotta go. I can't tell I gotta go here. I got, but it's been, what I would say. UCLA is great. I mean, I don't know what other schools do because I'm here, but Martin, if we have a head coaches meeting and I have to finish practice or something, I shoot a message to an oversight and like I'll be late or can I jump on Zoom to like do what you got to
Oh,
do?
that's
Like they're
cool.
they're very understanding about scheduling.
Yeah.
They know I want to be there, so I'll jump on a Zoom or I'm traveling.
Right.
There's so many things that they make accommodating for me as a head coach, which I really appreciate. And I think as an assistant, though, you don't see those things because you have relationships with people. Like I knew Jen at USC, the AD, she was amazing. I only got to be with her for a
Right.
short period of time, but I thought, wow, female AD, like I thought she was amazing. I got to know her a little bit, and the longer I stayed, I would have known her better. But in general, you're not an assistant coach that's just hanging out with an AD,
Right.
right? You're in a different. So as a head coach, you're like you got to talk to a lot of upper level people on a daily basis. You're responsible for anything that a coach does. So knowing that, I knew it coming in, but dealing with it is like
Yeah.
shoot,
Good
I
point.
gotta go, guys, because
Good
this
point.
coach said whatever, or an athlete's like, I need to talk to you. Yesterday I talked to someone, had to leave a practice. I got to make adjustments because I need to talk to this person right now, and I'm the head coach. And if I don't do this, what happens to this person? What do they do? How do they
Right.
feel? So now it's like
Yeah.
they need the head coach to give them the information to talk to them. So in that, did I think it was going to be easy? No, but did I think thoroughly about how much more I'd have to do? So
Hmm.
as an assistant coach, they all came to me. We talked all the time. I solved all the problems, whatever, right? It was great, whatever. It was like sometimes I say, go talk to the head coach. Like, I can't do that. I don't know. I
Right.
don't know. I can't answer that. Go see the head coach. Now I'm the head coach. So I got to answer it. I got to make a decision
Mm.
and I'm possibly going to make a big mistake. So
Hmm.
there is that where I knew I was going to have to do these things, but in real time, I'm like, oh my gosh, and I had to be very decisive. I'm not a super decisive person. It take me. If I'm out to lunch, it's
Mm,
like, well, right, well, what do you think? Well, how's this? What do people like about this? What's your number one? And then I'm like, well, I'll just try this instead.
right,
It takes me too long to order, right? People get so annoyed. Let's get something.
right,
So now I'm like, okay, give me some time, and I got to think about it. So I don't always have time to make the decisions or the
right.
think about. So I have to make choices, and they could be wrong.
Yeah,
So that is probably the most difficult thing because
yeah,
my decisions could really be bad. I could
right,
really affect 90 athletes, 8 coaches. Do you got like, oh my gosh, but it's too late. I made it, right? Then I
right.
got it really wrong. I got to answer to people upstairs.
Yeah,
I can say, oh, go talk to my head coach. No, so the buck stops with me. And I think that is a very precarious situation because I'm like, I
yeah,
love it. I love being in charge. I love being the boss. I love coming and going as I please. I don't have to tell you if I'm coming. Hey
right.
guys, I'm not going to be there, whatever, because I'm the boss. But too much is given, much is expected. I can't just be like,
Do you,
I'm not going to talk to the kids today.
do you we can't do everything alone. We can't do anything alone, to be real frank with you.
Correct. Yeah.
Uh, and maybe you've mentioned some of them. Do you have like there needs to be like a support group of head coaches, honestly, and even down to different niches, right? I careful how I ask this. I think there is different support, maybe not for everybody, maybe needed for women head coaches versus men. Um, African American versus white, and not because of any deficiencies, but like
But
how you are treated, unfortunately, by society. Do you have like a cadre, like, you're faced with one of these big decisions, and it's like, man, I need to bounce this off somebody. Do you have like a cadre of trusted, like other head coaches or senior coaches, even that you're like, okay, let me call my lifeline here and get some help?
yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, one is you have to be careful because we all got a dog in the fight. So you're like, what can I tell this person? Not tell like
Yeah,
that,
right.
right?
I didn't even think
So
about that.
I just actually called Jeanette Bolden the other day. She's done coaching.
Hmm.
She was my coach, head coach at
Mhm.
UCLA. That's a Black woman. Like how, but
Right, right,
I'm
right.
not. So she's like the one that can really give me that advice, and she really wants me to succeed. She recruited me.
Right.
She's really one. And then obviously Bobby, those are like my constant forever. But then, definitely Coach Caryl. Like we talk a lot. Sometimes I just pick up the phone, call her, vice versa. She'll check on me, I check on her. We talk about, she's like, oh, guess what I found out? You can try this. This could help you. So she'll give me little nuggets.
Oh,
So she is like, we have gotten a lot closer to as since she's not my boss. Because if she was my boss, I was like,
sure.
this lady, I cannot stand it, whatever. But she's crazy. Or we're like, I can't do this. I can't tell her this because she's my boss. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. But since the years that have passed and we've been good forever, but now we've gotten really close to where I can just call her and vice versa. And even still, she asked me, so what do you think I should do? This happened. What would you do? So we
Yeah.
do those things
Good.
in terms of like personal relationships with kids and whatnot. So she's
Good.
definitely a big one. Um, Alan Johnson, who I ran
Hmm.
with for many, many years, and he's at North Carolina A&T now.
Hmm.
And we've been friends forever and ever. So he's been a head coach, not much longer than me, but a little longer.
Right. Yeah.
So we talk about stuff like, hey, this happened. What do you think? And
Hmm.
he's very helpful. And I
Good.
will say, I don't pick up the phone a lot and call Mouse, my
Hmm.
colleague
Hmm.
from Florida, but I know I can.
Yeah.
And he has given me advice though over this course, whatever you need. We've done Zooms together, and he helps me.
Hmm.
So he's been very helpful over the years
Good.
as well. So if I know he'll text me like congratulations. Like he's been
Yeah.
my phone will be, I'm like, oh, what's Mouse talking about? Just want to tell me congratulations and
Yeah.
something, right? So that
I love
he's
him.
real support for me, knowing I know he's there. And then
Good.
Brooks Johnson was a mentor of mine,
Yeah.
his coach and mentor, good friend. So I feel like after Brooks's passing too, I know that he's there if I need, right? So those are like the main like coaches
Good.
that like current coaches that I talk to. Then of course I have a lot of friends that are assistant coaches and different people, but
Yeah.
in the leadership roles, those are like the main ones that
Good.
I would specifically reach out to or and be comfortable telling things that
Yeah.
wouldn't they'd be used against me later.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Those are great people I've known. I want to, it was a small highlight, but it was either 8 or 12 trials, and I'm leaving the hotel to go to the track, and Alan's there, and he looks like he's in a little bit of distress. I'm like, "Are you trying to get to the track?" And he didn't know who I was, but I'm a hurdle geek. I knew who Alan Johnson was,
Yeah.
and he's
Oh,
like, "Yeah, the bus," and I was like, "Hey, I'm headed there." I was like, "I work for Gill. Like you can trust me. I work for Gill. I'm not some kind of weirdo." do you need a ride? And I got to drive Alan to the, that was awesome. I love that. And then
Yeah,
Mike,
great.
Mouse and Brooks, rest in peace, was an early guest on the podcast. And I learned so much. I still tell people, I think his story, you should listen to that podcast and hear him share his journey every year of your career. It's Brooks went through it, buddy, and overcame everything. And the conversation he had about the way he thought about coaching was unique, man. It was so good. And then Mouse, another one, just humbled me. Guest number like 30. So he's an OG on this thing.
Yeah.
What a servant leader. Of course, he texts you and says, congratulations. He has no jealousy in his body. So I
He's
love that
done
you,
so much, right? And even
yeah,
and I will say after the dual meet last year, I got so many messages and calls, but Flo was like, called me on the phone, was like, girl,
yeah.
I'm so proud of you, so a
Another
lot
good
of
dude.
that,
I love him.
just those little calls or texts that people give, whether you ask for advice or
Yeah,
not, or see them all the time, when they see you in person, I'm so proud of you. Those are things that help me continue to move forward because I know
yeah.
that they're out there and that
Right,
they're watching and that if I need them, that they're there. If what for whatever, right? If I
right,
just need to talk to them, I've known them for so long. None of us are perfect. None of us
right,
are done learning. And so just knowing that there are people out there that I can call
right.
if I need to, or that I just know that they're supporting me. And so it's really good to have those people. And there's obviously more in the country,
Right, right, right,
women coaches,
right,
that I can
right.
talk to, learn from
Yeah,
Roslyn, Ohio
yeah,
State. Like
yeah. I love her.
there's
Yeah,
just if I just sat down and was like, I would risk and actually funny, I have a list of female coaches in my phone that I
nice.
like there. I mean, Amy Dean was like my first
Oh,
coach, my
love her.
1995 junior Pan Am games. She
Oh
was
man.
on the staff. She was like 20 and she's barely, I don't know how old she was, 25. And I've known her since I was 18.
Oh,
She's amazing. So again, it's just being in this new club, right? I knew him when I was in
yeah.
city, but I'm in the club now, right? I'm like, I'm up here.
Right.
It's really good to know that there are so many women out there, especially women that
Mhm.
support, but then you have the allies that are out there. And again, Bobby's been an ally for women coaches since forever.
Love
And
that.
right. So having Bobby there all the time is huge for
I
me.
I love people who realize that success is not pie, and so you're trying to get a bigger piece. Like you realize, like, oh, Joanna's success doesn't like they're still competitive. Like, yeah, we need to beat UCLA, but
Yeah.
her winning dual meet and winning going to nationals and getting hypes like that doesn't diminish what I could do. So I love people that show that, like, you know what, I can be happy for other people and still be competitive and want to win. So love that
Yeah.
example. All right, last two questions here, Joanna. I love personality and I love social media, and you have certainly melded the two. I don't want to call you famous for this, but you get around with this, both good and bad sides to people's opinions on this thing. I am going to call you famous for doing just these fun dances, memes. Like here's what I really love is that you're my age, Joanna, and you have embraced social media. People say that's a young people like, bro, at my age, I love social media. So I love that you do
Yeah.
this. Are you doing this purely because I just love to be fun and show my personality? Is it strategic for recruiting? What's maybe a little bit of motivation behind it, and if there is
Yeah,
any?
it started with recruiting, right? Because I'm like, these kids talk, this is language they speak. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say, so Snapchat back in the day, 100 years ago, Sydney McLaughlin,
Yeah.
I learned about streaks. So Sydney and I had a streak. I would snap her, recruiting her, but snap her every day. She snapped me, I snap her. I don't even know if it might still be in there, but we had a streak for a while. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I gotta like learn how to do these things. I learned a lot of stuff, right? So, and honestly, she didn't go to USC, but I coached her later, right? That's a whole nother
Mm-hmm.
story.
Right.
But Sydney, that's kind of where I like learned like, oh, a streak. I learned that really from Sydney. And then it just became this thing where like, okay, this is how they communicate now, right? So when I'm coaching, I'm like, let me send messages, let me do a video. Oh, they
Right.
like this. They like that. Oh, I got likes on. Like you start to see that and that's
Mm-hmm.
the easiest way to get them. Send them a DM. They're already on there all the time, or
Yep.
like their picture.
Mm-hmm.
So that was how it all like started. And then
Nice.
I have daughters. They like to dance. So I'm like, so I can be this
Right.
mom that dances with her daughters and then recruits like it. And oh, guess who else likes it? Recruits parents. They love seeing it. So again, people
Oh,
my age, younger or older, also like social media. So for me,
good.
it's accepted because people of all ages do it. And at one point, I was like, "Am I doing too much? They're going to be judging me. They think that." And then I said, I could care less what people think
I,
because it's my personality. I enjoy it. Then I came up with more recently, and I'm like, oh, my head coach, can I still do it? I can do it more if I want to, because guess what? I'm the boss. So I can do what I want. Right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, and I have athletes like Bella Witt, one of the ladies on my team. She's like, okay, we can do this. She's like directing all this stuff. I came up with gentle coaching in my head because I see all these people do these fun things
Yeah.
on like it's like point of view of things of like you're doing you're this, you're that, whatever.
Right.
So I was like, you know what's kind of funny, the gentle parenting thing, because it never worked for me, but general coaching. And that's I came up with these ideas, and every time I do one, they're literally on the spot, just do it. As of
Hmm.
I don't really write down script. We just the kids don't get scripts. I say kind
Right.
of do this, do that, let's go. They're very quick takes. And the last one is the 4x4 one's doing great.
Hmm.
Because again, it's satire to a point because it's also kind of true,
Right.
right? But none of my kids would, well, I don't know. Hopefully they
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like where they're at. They're hiding in the bathroom or
Yeah.
they're
Right.
sick or,
Right.
but it is just a thing that for me, it just adds the fun and joy
I
to a
love it.
hard sport,
I
right? So
love
some
it.
people love it. Some people don't get it. And they're like, why would you? I'm like, that's such a joke. But I can't reply to everyone and say, no, it means this. I've seen people reply to other people like, are you kidding me? She's joking, right?
You
So it's
you
fun.
you brought up a great point in when you said the J word, judgment. Because here's the thing: no matter what you do, how you do it,
100%.
someone is going to
100%.
judge it. People have been judging you your entire life, Joanna. Whether it's you had a bad race, and it's like, oh, what's wrong with her? You hit a hurdle, oh, it's all over. Oh, that uniform. I mean, there's so many things. It doesn't matter. Someone's gonna
Yeah,
your hair, everything. Someone's gonna judge.
no matter
So
what.
who cares if
Yep.
you enjoyed it and you're not hurting anybody? That's my only stipulation.
Obviously, right. That's the point.
Then have at it. And I tell you what I love about it is you do some things that are relatable to other coaches. So like when you talk about that
Yes.
4x4,
Yeah.
and when other coaches start doing, almost like you get memed out through it, like the hurdle one. I believe
Yeah.
you're the first one you're the first one that I saw, and
Yeah.
then everybody else,
I had people to do
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And then people and then they add their own little twist, like they hop out of the wave. They're like, oh, she's
So
crazy. I
so
would
funny
never
because
do that.
Coach Carol, I tagged her and I was like, do it. And then she's like, I was like, you have to do it. She
That's
called, she's like, okay, but can I just like say I don't trust my athletes and what? I said, you can do whatever you want. Do it. And I was like, I like that idea. Do it.
yeah,
So she does it. And it was and then
it
I
was
think Kids
awesome.
Magazine posted it. That wasn't the intention. It was just like they
Right.
saw it. It was funny.
Yeah.
And again, and I want her and all coaches, but specifically female coaches, right, to do it. And she has the rep of being tough. Like you said, she's a little intimidating, but when you can show that she does have that softer side, she's really fun.
She
And her
also has a
athletes know it.
personality. Right.
She does.
Exactly.
She's fun. She jokes. She laughs. We have fun together. So again, I want coaches. This is not a Joanna Hayes thing. I want
Right.
women, if
Right.
they want to dress up, they should dress up at track meets. If
Mhm.
they want to do stories, skits, and stuff, they should do that. I
Yep.
think that it's for me, it brings attention to the sport. It brings attention to the female coach. Every track meet I go to now, every single one, whether it's student athletes, whether it's little kids, grown-ups, parents, coaches, they all, you do the thing. The girls like, oh my gosh, they see
Right.
it. So it becomes a thing. And for me, that brings people together. And I tell people, you should do one. And if you want to do one with me, reach out,
I
right?
love it.
Because that's for me, it's unity. Track and field is a very inclusive sport.
Yep.
People of all colors, shapes, sizes. It's a very inclusive sport. And so because of that, I feel like because social media is what it is, that's a really easy way to get people included because everyone can do it if they want to.
Right.
And they have to, but if they want to, they do it.
Joanna, there's so many more things that I could talk to you about. I remember an impactful for me conversation you and I had at I think it was during it was at Oregon about Rye Benjamin, and where again talking about judgment, what people were thinking about you and coaching him and where he was doing, and then you and I talked about like they have no idea about this and this and this and this, and then the
Right.
next year he does what he does. He went out and did amazing.
Yeah.
You're an amazing coach there. So there's a lot of topics, but you got to go. So last question here, Joanna, as you look towards the future and you get to figure out what future means this season, 5 seasons from now, etc. What's got you excited about UCLA track and field?
You know what's got me? I mean, I have a really good recruiting class coming in, right?
Nice.
I have some great kids coming in that I'm super excited about that have been recruited. Some recruiting for a while, some new, and watching them run is great, and I have some kids that are getting better that are UCLA here already. Kids that are going to be, you're watching them like, oh, a little bit better. Oh, it's coming,
Yep.
it's coming, right? So what I'm really excited about is just continuing on the legacy I'm trying to build that I'm working on and hoping that UCLA gets back to my UCLA.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm looking forward to. And I
Nice.
think it's on the way to be in my UCLA. And these kids have been, incredible. Nothing comes without challenges, right? But my team, I love their effort. I think that they're really bought in and they
Good.
really want to be great and they really want to represent UCLA and all that it stands for, not just, athletically, but culturally, academically, and service wise and community. So I'm just excited that I don't know what the future holds, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm excited that I get to be in real time watching it unfold, allowing myself and my coach's grace to make mistakes, knowing that we all have the same mindset. We're all looking for success for the
Right.
kids on and off the track. And so yeah, I'm just like everything for me and it's all new. I can do everything. It's all coming back, right? Every time I do
Right.
something, it's just greater and greater. So I'm looking for greatness. I think it's coming. I'm an aggressively patient person, which means I get it. It's not going to happen overnight exactly when I want it, but I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go all in. And then if it doesn't happen, I'll just do it again and keep doing it until it does happen. And that's what I tell my kids. Don't wait for it, but understand if it doesn't come, don't quit,
Love
right?
that.
Don't quit.
Love that. Love you. There's a lot of stereotypes, LA, UCLA, USC, all these kind of things. The one stereotype that is true is LA traffic, and she's got to get into it. She used a new term I haven't heard, aggressively patient, and I immediately thought about someone in that LA gridlock. I've been there, and I'd never want to do that again. So, Joanna, thank you so much. The most valuable thing in the world you can give me is your time, and I'm just so grateful for you, and just really excited for you to see you continue to develop as a coach at UCLA, the private coaching you do, and as a leader inside of our NCAA track and field. So thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great. Love talking to you. Hope to see you soon.
And guys and gals, thank you so much for being here. We mentioned, it is kind of funny, a lot of UCLA alum here, but a lot of the people she mentioned, Brooks Johnson, John Gadina, Caryl Smith Gilbert, Mouse, are all podcast alums here. So if you are excited to learn about their journey, just look in the same app that you're using here and you'll find their journeys there. So thanks again for joining us this week. Join us next week. We'll do it all over again. See you guys.